What's up, everybody? I'm Indy. That guy way over there is Jay. And in the middle, we have the infamous Yuliya Moshkaryova. Did I say it right? Close enough?
It is correct.
From Casual Connect. She is the director of Indie Prize. And we're just going to ask her a bunch of stuff. And no, we're going to teach you how to get your indie game to stand out.
All right, but wait. We were in the middle of a very fascinating conversation while you were doing like the stuff, and I want to hear the end of the story.
Okay.
So when you were in school, are you talking about the non-planets in terms of the fact that Pluto is not a planet anymore?
Yes, exactly. Yes. But that was the truth for me. I knew that there are nine planets in this solar system, and now it's 8.
But, to be fair, that wasn't a cultural thing. That's like all of us have to deal with that fact now.
I understand, but for me, that was a fact. If you cannot trust what you were taught at school, what should I believe in this life?
Well, if you look back, like in American school books, things that were taught in the 30s, it's just a little different now. It's a little bit different. I think these textbooks change over time.
Yeah,
I understand. But,
what can you believe? Nothing. You can't believe your eyes. You can't believe your ears. I don't even know if the other side of the world actually exists.
It's flat. Everybody's saying that now. It's just flat. That's all it is. But I've got a shirt that says, "Dear
Do not
NASA,
put that in my brain."
What's that?
Do not put that in my head, seriously. Do not put that information in my head. I don't know what to believe in.
There was something on the the Flat Earthers Twitter that said something like, all of the people that believe the Earth, all the people around the globe that believe the Earth is flat. And it's like, the globe. That doesn't even make sense.
That's a ball.
All right, so another thing I want to talk about really quick is this time of year, people say, oh, be healthy and drink water. This time of the year, I think I have more vitamins in my body than ever because everyone is sick. I've been we have this whole basket. It's all like emergency and extra vitamin C and zinc and vitamin D, and everybody here's sick, and I'm just eating all these gummy vitamin C's, and I think I have more vitamins in me now than ever. Everybody.
Is it a commercial?
It's a commercial. No, everyone here is sick, and I got to go to TwitchCon, and so I have these right here, disinfectant wipes that I use all day long.
You're bathing in them.
Yeah, and then these, which I think I actually got from a Casual Connect. Someone's they had a big box of them, and I'm like, I'll take them. And then so I came home with 100 of these, so I just use them.
That is the practical swag that you don't always get from shows.
Something that has a little carabiner that holds these, and you can just put it on your shirt or.
Yep.
So yeah, my hands are super dry, and I've got lots of vitamins in me. Okay. So anyways, let's talk to Yuliya.
Our show, that too. Welcome everybody. Yuliya, so why don't you just give us the high level, how you got into the industry, and once you were in our wonderful world, how did you get to where you are now? Walk us through your career and tell us how you got here.
That's a really fun story. It was in 2012. I finished. No, I still was at the university. I think it was the last year in my university, and I just decided that I need to start working. And I went to the first interview I was invited, seriously, after I put my CV online. And I came to that office. I didn't know what the company is doing, seriously. And they interviewed me. They say, yeah, it's nice. And then I asked, and what are you doing? And they say, we are making mobile games. And I was, what? They say, we are making mobile games. I say, here in Dnipropetrovsk, it's like a city in Ukraine. Not everyone knows where Ukraine is. And Dnipropetrovsk, it's not even a capital. And then they made games there, you understand? And I was like, what kind of, like Angry Birds, this kind of game for my phone? They say, yes. You won't believe me. They offered me a job. And I was a marketing manager, then kind of production managers. Then I moved to another company. Yeah, and I was volunteering for Casual Connect, I think for 3 or 4 years. We made video reports. And then Jessica offered me a job, and I was really, really, really happy to do it. Because my first time at Casual Connect, I remember that it was in Kiev, in Rus. And I came there, and I was like, wow. For me, my parents always surrounding that is not in the games industry. They they work. like, real work, when they are grumpy,
Real
when
job.
they're not,
Not like us.
yeah, they are like not happy, they work, they come back home tired. And then I was in Rust at the conference when everyone was happy, drinking, having some, I don't know, sweets, communication, talking, networking, parties. And I was like, I want to be here. Seriously, I want to spend my life here. I don't want to sit in the office. I don't want to do some kind of heavy physical stuff. I want this. Yep. That's how I came here.
So, what was the name of the company that you got your first job with in the city that I know very well, but I can never pronounce?
Okay, you can call it just DCD. By the way, they renamed the city. Now it's not Dnipropetrovsk. Now it's Dnipro.
Oh.
Dnipro.
Yeah. So like for the last year, it is Dnipro. So I worked at Absolutist. It's a game developer.
Yes.
What? Yes.
I did back in the day, and I don't know if you were there at the time or if you weren't. I did a lot of business with Alla over at
Alla Khantsova.
Yeah, and so they were one of our primary developers while I was still at the publisher. When we transitioned to Merscom, the publisher, we did a lot of stuff with Absolutist. They did our Sudoku games. We actually got them a Xbox dev kit. And so that's where I knew that name. I was like, I know that name. That's the city I can never pronounce. But yeah, I'm very familiar with Absolutist. That's where
I came to Absolutist after Alla Khantsova left it, and I met her at the conference, actually, like Casual Connect Kyiv. When I was at Absolutist, and she already didn't work at Absolutist, but everyone was talking that she worked there. So yeah.
All right, so you were there probably after we did a lot of the stuff there, but that's interesting.
Probably.
That was
This flat world is so small.
It is. Well, I mean, especially this industry, because it's like everybody knows everybody, and that's the golden rule. It's like, you don't ever want to be mean or burn a bridge, in this industry, because it will come back and haunt you. That little,
The
starting
thing is,
intern.
Don't ever piss off Yuliya is what it is.
Well, yeah, that too. But, an intern that you are rude to at a conference one day is going to turn around in 5 or 10 years and be an executive director or a CEO or somebody, very high ranking. And they're going to remember that. And they're going to be like, no, you were a dick to me. I'm not going to, do whatever it is now that you want to do. So it is a small industry. And that's part of why I absolutely love it. It's because, at the end of the day, we all change jobs and we all end up doing something else over time, but we all still know each other, along the way. So it's very fun. So you run Indie Prize now, which is one of the big indie competitions. Tell us a little about Indie Prize to get started. I mean, just give us an overview of what it is and where it's always at Casual Connect. We know that much. But tell us about Indie Prize in general and, how it gets in there and can really help some of these developers.
So it started before I came to Casual Connect. They already had Indie Prize showcase, and it was a showcase for talented developers. Like Casual Connect is kind of primary event and kind of expensive if you look compared to small local events for indies. So indie developers usually cannot afford the ticket to go with the whole team to travel around the world to join Casual Connect. And that is why Indie Prize was created, to give the opportunity for those developers to join Casual Connect, because they are provided with free tickets, free passes to the conference, right?
Right.
Are you hearing me? Yeah. Okay.
We're
So
good. We're
yeah.
just listening.
Okay, so that's why Jessica started Indie Prize, to provide the chance for indie developers to get to the conference to network with industry professionals. And yeah, that's how it started. And then I joined Casual Connect team in 2015, and we start getting more submissions. We get more promotion for Indie Prize, that we have this. Not everyone knew that we provide with free passes, and a lot of developers actually skip this opportunity because they couldn't afford that. And then we get even more submissions, and we start getting more submissions than we actually could accommodate at the conference. And that is why we started selecting the games to the showcase. And like during these 3 years, we actually grew, and now we have more than 1,500 submissions during a year for our shows. And for each of our show, we accommodate around 100 developers that are in the top list, from all judges' marks. And we invite them to the conference, give them free passes to the conference, free showcase spot. And in some countries, we provide free accommodation. In most of the countries, we provide free accommodation during the conference.
So all they have to do basically is pay to fly there, right?
Yes, and sometimes...
But sometimes the food's free. And the alcohol.
Yeah, I think at the conference, it's really a rare occasion when I'm actually buy food at the conference. We have a kind of breakfast, like some cookies, coffee at the conference, and we have lunch always served during Casual Connects. It's always included. And then at the parties, we have some free food. So I think it is okay.
My favorite thing was, and I wasn't hungover, but it was the Hangover Bar, where we came down and there was that guy when he had his little booth and he was just handing out free Bloody Marys. All right, sure. So, because I was streaming there with Carl, and I'm like, all right. So I drank like 2 or 3 Bloody Marys, and he's like, all right, well, let's stream. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, that is cool.
All right, so you end up with around 100 accepted games per show.
Yes.
So how many times a year are you doing Indie Prize?
We have 4 shows during the year, every year. And we have a show in Asia, USA, Western Europe, and Eastern Europe region. So 4 shows during the year. At every show, we have a showcase for which we select the games. Not we, like the judges. Like Casual Connect team, I'm personally, we do not select the games. We have professionals from the industry who apply as judges. It's about 30-40 judges per each show, and they select the games.
Yeah, we had Martine on a couple of weeks ago, and we actually went through and played some games that our viewers sent in and gave live feedback on. We're like, okay, look, Martine and I have done this, in the past, so we're going to look at these games like we were looking at them for a competition, and we gave people live feedback, and it was super fun. So you get obviously a lot of exposure as a developer, when you go, because you've got the Indie. Can you find the Indie Prize webpage? Shows like all the developers that are in there, and it's fantastic. I just don't have the link handy.
Sure.
They get the exposure that way. They're on there at the show floor where publishers are, coming through and taking a look at everything. Give us your side. And so, why should indie developers, submit in their game, and what qualifies as an indie developer? What are there restrictions on, are you an indie or are you not before you submit?
So there are a lot of different definitions of what indie developer is. We decided to avoid any issues with that. And if you consider yourself an indie developer, you own the IP and you own most of IP of your game, you can submit. Because Blizzard never submitted to Indie Prize. Never. Yeah.
But they still publish.
So yeah, if you have at least 10 minutes of gameplay, we do not accept concepts. We just accept playable games that can be useful at the conference. As for the conference should be useful for developers as well as for the guests who join the conference, to review those games. That is why the game should be in playable form. The IP should be owned by developer, and you should consider yourself as an indie developer. Those are the requirements to submit for the Indie Prize. And of course, you need to be at the conference. Sometimes this is really frequently asked question, like, can we be at Indie Prize without coming to the conference? Like, I'm always impressed. Indie Prize is a showcase. Like the idea of Indie Prize is to network at the conference, to be there, to get contacts, to get funding, publishers, media, playtest, all these advantages of being at the conference. Like, this is a showcase. So how can you be there without being there? So no, you need to be at the conference to be a part of Indie Prize. About the advantages. So I don't think there is anything that you can name that why developers should not go to the conferences, especially if it's for free. So seriously. And we have events in different parts of the world. So you can just choose an event that is closer to your region, right? You don't need, if you're based in Asia, you don't have to go to Europe, you can just choose a Asian edition of Casual Connect and go there. Yeah. What was the other question? You asked me two questions.
I'm not even sure right now. This is the way the show goes. It's, depends on whatever pops into my head at a given time. But I agree with you. And I know I have seen those people too. And it's one of those things that just absolutely irritates me, and as a biz dev person in the industry. It's like the people that go to trade shows and Casual Connect does this when you are, when you go to Casual Connect and you register, and even on the IndiePrize side, you get a free account with, who is it, Meet to
Yes.
Match or the matchmaking things. And people don't even take 5 minutes to fill that out, and I'm like, you are wasting a very valuable resource here. And so, I'm by applying to IndiePrize or any competition and going, well, we want to apply, but we're not going to be there. It's crazy. It's ludicrous because you are, you're simply missing out on, wonderful networking and potential deals that come out of this stuff, because, I've been at enough of them and I've seen, publishing deals or co-publishing deals happen right there at the conference, right there on the show floor. So, it is one of those things that, if you've got, that 10 minutes of gameplay, you should submit. And one of the things that we talked about with Martine is, it's worth submitting just to get feedback too. Even if your game isn't quite ready to go, prime time, it's good to have that feedback so you can say, oh, this is what I need to improve on, or this is what, is good and this is what isn't, type thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely worth it. So when we're looking at when someone should submit, are there preferences? I know you said you only need like 10 minutes of gameplay, but where do you feel in the development cycle the best place to start presenting is it? I mean, is it at alpha, or is it better to look at something, to submit somewhere like at beta stage or later on, or where should people look to, in their life cycle to start submitting stuff to them?
So that depends. Like at Casual Connect in Serbia, we had a Ask Me Anything panel with publishers, and I asked that question, like, when developers should present their games. And there were different replies from concept to alpha or to almost ready to release game. It just depends what they are looking for. Because like we accept only the games that are playable, because concept is something that we cannot sell at the conference, at least at our conference. And but at the showcase, the game should be playable. But like if you're looking for the reply, when should we present the game for publishers or for investors? It depends. It really depends, and all the publishers reply different.
Oh yeah, and with 500 plus publishers out there, you're roughly going to get 500 plus different answers to it. So what happens? All right, so you give awards, obviously. So what awards are given out at each show? And how does that factor into the presence, the what's the word I'm looking for here? Exposure that the teams get. So what, if they're going to the show, are there certain areas that they should focus on based on, best art or best design or best music? What kind of awards are given out, at the end of the show?
Oh, awards. I don't think it's about awards. I think our show is mostly about the networking that you get during the conference. Like awards is just, to recognize the games in different categories, and we have 9 different categories that recognize art separately from audio, game design, narrative, multiplayer games, best in show, audience show games. But when you go to the conference, you just need to understand what do you want from the conference, because if you don't know what you want, how can we help, right?
Yes.
And there are a lot of developers who like I see at the showcase, and they literally ask everyone who is passing by, do you want to try my game? And give a flyers, or just they're branded t-shirts, they are playing their games themselves, and just involve all the audience to play the game. Or like usually what we give 2 passes to the conference, so one developer can stand at the showcase and another developer can go to the meetings, lectures, just networking in the whole conference exhibition hall. And developers schedule meetings. That's what you said, but not everyone doing that, right? And when I hear that, no, I do not go to the conference, this conference sucks, I said, what? In which realm? Seriously? Like, why? I don't know. I didn't really meet interesting people. There was no like feedback. I don't know. I just spent my money. I just wasted my money. I said, how many meetings did you have? I didn't have meetings. Why? I don't know. People are not friendly. Did you use pitch and match or any meeting system? No. What is that? Like, how can you blame the conference or the organizers or like the system in general that it's not useful if you do not use the tools we provide? That's what you said. I think we talked about that in Seattle at the party, that you were almost crying, like, Yuliya, they didn't fill in the profiles.
Yes.
Some people. And at most of the events, you actually need to pay for that. And we just give the access to meeting system to everyone who is at the conference, who registered to the conference. And maybe if we would charge them, they would understand that this is actually a valuable tool. Like, I don't know.
It absolutely, I mean, because full disclosure, I worked really closely with, IndiePros and Casual Connect at Seattle last year, I believe. And it really was. I mean, it was just absolutely, you talk to some of these teams and they're like, we really need a publisher, or, we really need to get some media involved. But then I go and I look on the system, and I do believe you all are the only ones that give away the full suite of things that the system can do for free. There are conferences that say, okay, you can book like 10 meetings or something like that, if without paying. But with IndiePros and Casual Connect, the whole thing is free. And so
no, it's not for free. It's like, do not confuse people. It's for registered attendees of the conference.
Yes, exactly.
But everyone who is registered, we don't have like VIP tickets, not VIP tickets. You have the unlimited access to the whole meeting system, and you can book as many meetings as you can, and you should do that. Developers, really, you should do that. even if you don't know who is that, if you see like, maybe that publisher is not what I'm looking forward to, but you had meetings, you set up meetings with everyone you need to meet, and then you have free slots. Do not be like, just I don't know, do not just waste your time at the conference. Book more meetings. How many meetings do you have during the day at the conference, Tate?
Me?
Yes.
Every half hour. So if the show starts at...
It's 20 meetings.
Yeah, a day.
A day, yes. Yeah. And it's 3 days. So you can have at least 50, really, or 40. Like, let's say you need to eat, right, during the lunch. You maybe don't, but most of people do need to eat. So at least 40 meetings from the people who, who are interested in the industry, who are making money in this industry. They are at the conference, and they're useful. They cannot be just, useless. Even if you don't need them now, they might know the person who you need to meet, right?
Exactly. I mean, and so a prime example, this show that we are on right now probably would not exist without IndiePros and Casual Connect, because Indy wasn't at the Seattle show that I was at, but Carl talked about him constantly. And so that encouraged me to reach out to Indy. And then over time, this show was born. But you really don't ever know, especially if you're at a networking party and somebody's badge is turned around backwards or something, they don't even have a badge on or whatever. It's amazing the people that you can meet just sitting down and having a beer, or, if you're a developer, hang out and play your game. And Lauren was on a few weeks ago and was talking about, how soul crushing it can be sometimes when you're standing there and there are people that play the game beside you, and then they walk right past you and play the game on the other side. And it is. I'm not going to, deny that and say it's not, a hard pill to swallow sometimes. But, one, you got to remember that person that walked by you may be headed to a meeting somewhere. And it's not that they're not interested in your game. It's that, they just simply don't have time right now. But, you not only get a chance to network with, publishers or media or streamers, but even the teams beside you, getting to know them and talking to them can lead to, some really cool opportunities or just, a learning experience while you're all there, sharing in the wealth of knowledge that's at one of these conferences. So, but the meeting thing, yeah, it just absolutely drives me nuts. And it makes it even worse when people fill out the thing at the end and it's like, well, I didn't have any meetings that were worthwhile. And then I go look in the system and I'm like, you didn't schedule any meetings at all. It's like, so it's very frustrating. And, it's one of those things that, you got to take advantage of, what you have when you have it.
It's not only about the meetings. So at our conference, we have different activities. And except meetings, we also have, for example, streaming that Dan was managing. And a lot of developers didn't sign up for streaming, and we had to come to every developer at the showcase table who didn't sign up and ask, do you want to stream your game? Because we have some, spare spaces. And they say, sure, when, how, why? I say, that was 3 times sent to you in the emails with the huge letters, sign up for streaming, it's really cool, sign up button. And then we didn't see that. Please use the tools we provide. Or, like for the second time, like in London show this year and in Serbia, so it was before Casual Connect when it just started in 2006. Then we just remove it and now we, renew it. We renew the publisher speech. So we have, this kind of really short meetings between developers and publishers in an organized manner. And we also invite all the developers at Indie Prize to sign up. Just sign up, come there, spend half an hour, meet 15 publishers, exchange the business cards, make a really short pitch for them so you know how to pitch. Every time you train, it's good for you, it improves you. And we also had like half of empty slot in the schedule. So we just went to everyone at the conference and said, do you want to show your games to at least 15 publishers during half an hour? Sure! When? So yeah, please use the tools. Like there are so many different tools organizers trying to improve for you, to give for you, because your success is our success. That's why we are trying to do as much as possible, and we're always listening to your feedback, to feedback of publishers. And that was something like, I heard that from a lot of judges and among them a lot of publishers, and then they Yuliya just made a pitch again. We made it, and developers didn't sign up. We had the full schedule at the end. We had like pitch overbooked, but we had to come to every single developer at the table and ask them to sign up for the time. So yeah, I really hope that developers, if you go to the conference, if you spend, if not even your money, your time, just know what you're looking for to, and just use all the tools that are provided, or ask. You always ask questions. You don't need to pay for questions, right? Just ask. Maybe we have something interesting, and just read the emails. Sorry, I just.
That's what I just put in chat. It's like
read your email.
Read your email. It's like.
But that's what happens.
That it is. I mean, and I know people get busy, and I also know that, not we are a bit biased in the fact that my world revolves around the business side of the industry and not, making sure that a bug is fixed before we do go and show something to a whole lot of people around the world. But, it just is. It's so frustrating. And I can say this too. I've had clients at shows who did not even go to the show for the sake of finding a publisher. We had a client several years ago who had their game and they were going to self-publish it on PC. They weren't thinking about any other consoles at all. They were just focused on PC. They wanted us to help them line up media, websites and streamers and all of that sort of stuff for them to help build a little bit of hype before they launched. And I said, okay, that's awesome. But, we're going to have a lot of publishers coming through this area too. So why don't you just talk to them? No expectation at all. Just talk to them, see what they're doing. And, maybe something comes of it or maybe it doesn't, but it's not going to hurt if you've got free time. And they said, yeah, sure. They ended up getting a publishing deal that financed the ports to the other platforms, to PS4 and Vita at the time, and a couple of others, I believe. They still were able to do what they were going to do on PC, but then they had an opportunity to do a whole lot more just from sitting down and having a couple, conversations with people. Because the reality is the publishers are busy too, and they're seeing a whole lot of stuff. And so much in this industry, comes down to that personal relationship that, if you have 5 minutes and you're, sitting there, you can take advantage of all of this stuff. Get your game streamed. How many developers do we see on Discord that are like, okay, somebody please stream my game? Not begging, but they're trying to find, more exposure for their game, and you all give them that exposure, but you got to read your emails and take advantage of the stuff that's being offered along the way. So it's frustrating. I know that too. So.
But it's not only about publishers. At the conference there are a lot of other opportunities. You just need to open your door and let them come in, because I have this field for developers, what do you expect from Indie Prize? What do you want to get from there? And a lot of developers put that they just want to meet another awesome developers, They just want to build a community, to be inside the community, because indie community of indie developers, and we kind of have a huge pre-selection for the games. So the games that ended up at Indie Prize, they're really the finalists. They're all the winners, From 500 submissions, if you get 100 games, it means a lot. They are the finalists. And people really get a lot of inspiration, a lot of useful feedback from the same developers that they are. You just come there and they play test your game, and it's not like players play test. They see the problems you have because they're also developers, and they can actually give you really interesting solution for that, because maybe they actually had that problem before. And you have no idea how many developers, they have huge books with notes, and for the next show they come back with the same game but completely different game. Yuliya, we play tested, and we had a lot of feedback from the conference, and now we just update a game. Yeah. And it's completely new game, awesome game that won a prize. That's really nice story. I like it.
Yeah, I mean it is, and you can go into the actual lectures, and so there's a lot of knowledge that's being shared at the show. That, I mean, you're right. It's more than just meeting the publishers. There's a lot of other stuff going along as well, but you got to be there. You got to submit, and you've got to, take advantage of the stuff that's being offered to you. So what kind of trends have you seen, changes? How has there been a difference in the indie games that you've seen, like this past year versus 2 or 3 years ago? How have you seen things change around over the last couple of years?
I don't know. All the games are cool. They're really cool. Maybe I see more PC and console games right now. In 2015, it was mostly mobile games. And right now it's kind of 50-50 between mobile and PC console games. That's probably the only difference. And I don't know, I feel like developers became more skilled. Sometimes you look at, I worked at the game developer company. I know how much time, hours it takes to create that art, to program that, and to make it works together. And sometimes I see a team of 1 or 2 developers that made it possible. And they don't have it like a main job. It's a side project because they work in a company and then they just do that as a hobby. And I'm like, that's impossible. You are lying to me, or you're a genius. And I think they're really skilled, because I don't understand how they're doing that. They are really talented. There are a lot of really talented developers and shy developers who do not, come and claim that we are cool. This is our game. Play it. Tell me how to improve, monetize it, and sell it. So, yeah, I wish all the developers who are talented do that.
So, do you think it's part of that normal cycle that we see in games where, a studio may start out on their own, but then they either, for whatever reason they leave, or that studio gets shut down, and then they go join a bigger studio and they're making, AA or AAA style games. And then after a while they get tired of it and they go back and, they go back and go back to their indie roots. So do you think it's, simply that there is more exposure for indie pros and you're seeing better submissions, or do you see that you're getting more experienced indie teams that are coming? They're not like fresh out of college and fresh out of school. They have spent time working at bigger studios. Where do you think that difference is coming in?
First of all, I think that the community in general became more educated, and also maybe that's because we became more famous, kind of more people know about Enterprise, maybe just high level developer supply for that. I don't know where it comes from, but the community is definitely more educated. Like I feel like developers they more skilled. It's amazing.
And they're probably more, they can as individuals specialize more now than they could in years past, because there's better communication tools, there's better access to other team members and things like that. So you don't necessarily have to be that, 1, 2, 3 person team that has to do everything. Now you really can go on and say, okay, I'm going to focus on the coding, and Dan is going to focus on the art, and Yuliya is going to focus on the whatever else that goes into these games. You don't have to wear that many hats anymore. You can really focus on what you're good at, and that ends up showing in the games that they have. So I think it's interesting though that you are seeing more PC and console submissions, because that does make sense with the trend that we're seeing in development in general. So many developers were started out on the PC and the console side, and then when iTunes came along and mobile games started picking up, they all jumped to mobile games. But now mobile gaming is so controlled by a lot of these huge companies that they can't afford to compete with. They're like, you know what, we're going to go back and do what we've been doing anyway. We liked the PC stuff better. And frankly, the Switch, I mean, have you seen Switch submissions coming in, or are they mainly still like PC demos? Because I know it's hard to get, it's hard to have preliminary judging on some console stuff if you don't have the consoles. But are you seeing more studios looking at Nintendo now than they have in years past, or how is it breaking down?
So with Switch, of course, we got some submissions with, on Switch, but what we usually do, we ask developers to provide us with available platforms. Because, for example, if they have a game on Switch and on PC, we would ask them to submit the build to PC so more judges can actually play that, because judges are also normal people who apply, and not everyone has a Switch. But yeah, we do see, I saw quite a lot of submissions on Switch that had available platform Switch as well.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. The Switch has turned out to be, what I wanted out of mobile gaming anyway. I didn't want a ton of free-to-play games. I wanted to be able to sit down and play the games that I like playing, but play them on the road too as well. So, no, I mean, it's interesting, and I always like seeing, what kind of trends you're seeing, because quite frankly, you're seeing them before they go to market, quite a bit. And so even what you're seeing coming through in submissions, even if they don't make it all the way to the show itself, you've got a very good perspective and pulse on where the industry's going.
So anyone who has experience in game industry and understand who is responsible in his company or the company he works in for selecting the games, reviewing the games for the primary business, anyone can apply as a judge. And if you're really looking for games to publish or to work with, I think being a judge and actually look through all the games that are submitted before they're on the market, before they're at the conference, is really useful for you. So you can apply as a judge for Indie Prize and help us select the games and play all the games and get access to them. Yes.
The last time I judged, my son would come in, and usually I get that. And I get it from the parents at the school and the teachers as well. It's like, oh, you play video games all day. And I'm like, no, I don't play video games all day. But then when I'm, working with you all and I'm reviewing these games, my son comes in and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing games for work. You do play games all day. No, just a couple of times a year I do this. And it is. I mean, even, though our audience is mainly developers, it's for publishers and consultants and even like tech companies. It's a good opportunity to see and interact with developers who may not be on everybody's radar yet. There's been several games that I saw come through Indie Prize that I look like 6 months to a year later, and they're like these huge hits, and it's like, yeah, we saw that before anyone else did, or not anyone else maybe, but before the masses saw it, and it's always cool to see that, because it's like, yeah, this is a studio that got it, that came through and they understood. So
I have a question about submitting. So a lot people submit their games. What kind of requirements should people have, so that all the judges can be able to play the games? Is there like some kind of standardized thing? I think I remember you talking about there were some games for something that you were judging, Jay, and you couldn't even get them to run. Is that the case, or was that something? Was that Indie Prize, or was that something else?
No, I mean, we've had that. I mean, sometimes we get them, and Yuliya, you know this better than I do. I remember getting. Because when you're a judge, you get assigned games based on what you said your preferences were and that sort of stuff. But we would have stuff that comes through and then they didn't even send us a build that worked.
Yeah. Okay, so sometimes that happens. Again, I don't know why. It's kind of clear requirement to submit a game and provide judges with a build, because how can they judge if they don't have a build? And like sometimes people just skip it. So unfortunately, those games never ended up at Indie Prize. Also, we actually emailed them, just please provide, because judging process started. But some people just ignore that. So that can happen. But what we usually have is we have available platforms, the primary platform that the developer chooses the judges to play their game in. And then we have judges. They also submit what platforms they can play. And then we just store the games according to their demands. Yeah, but sometimes it happened. Like, we are trying to do our best. We have a team. There are 2 managers who are working along with me at Indie Prize, and we are trying to communicate as much as possible. So just please reply our emails. Yeah.
Again,
read and reply. Read and reply.
And it's not Indie Prize's fault. But it goes along with what we're saying. If you're gonna take advantage of a opportunity like this, you need to put your best foot forward, and you need to put a little bit of effort into it. It's making sure that the build that you send is working, making sure that you send a build. It's little things like that can make a drastic difference. And
I would imagine what happens is a lot of people will be like, okay, we're going to enter this. Now everyone work your ass off, and then like the build isn't ready or something. Yeah. And so or they're just like, we better enter this just in case. And then, you know what I mean? And then they don't end up following through because just in case didn't pan out.
I would actually mind them doing that just in case, because they're actually doing something. And I think it's really good that they at least try. Yeah.
It's a step in the direction. It's a step in the direction for sure.
It absolutely is. So,
do you have a light, Yuliya, that you can turn on? Yuliya, I mean,
What?
do you have a light? It's super dark.
Yes, I do. I need a moment.
Okay. It's super dark. She's like a shadow in the dark.
Well, she is on the other side of the world. We got to give her,
yeah.
It's probably getting dark over there, and it's not. We still have.
I'm back.
It's morning
perfect.
for you, so perfect.
No, it's evening. Evening already here.
That's what we were saying. You're on the other side of the world.
Is
So
that a new Indie Prize shirt? Because it's blue and yellow instead of green.
Oh, this is from Kiev. It's a Ukrainian flag.
Ah, okay.
Blue and
that's
yellow.
cool.
Yeah, we started doing that. It's really cool. In USA, we had the USA flag. It's cool. It's really pleasant to see developers that wear Indie Prize t-shirts, different conferences, and they know for which edition this t-shirt is, because we never had the same t-shirts. We always have different design. And then you meet in one room you meet 4 people with 4 different t-shirts, and it's so cool.
It's collector's editions. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like getting the concert tees.
Yeah.
But seriously, if you're a developer and you created a game and it's all playable, just submit for different contests. Even if you won't be selected, at least you will see. First of all, you will go through that barrier when you are afraid to show your game. I don't know. I never heard about stories from Indie Prize that their game ideas were stolen. Seriously. People will review your game, and actually I have some examples when the game wasn't selected as a finalist, but one of the judges from a publisher, he messaged me and said, can you please make an introduction, because we are interested exactly in this game. And they set up a contract. It was really nice. I think it's really important. And a lot of judges, I know it's a lot of work. I sometimes I'm also invited as a judge for different local contests. And it really takes a lot of times. It's not hours, it's days to go through 20, 50 games if you really want to go through them. Even if you spend 10 minutes per game, it's a few days. But some companies, like for example, Yoda One Games, Apple, they have the whole team, who just play the games. They submit as one judge, then get the list of all the games, just separate it through the whole team and play the games for one day. It's really fun and it's really useful for them. So yeah. So
I'll put you on the spot here. Can you think off the top of your head some games that we've seen, go on to a good amount of success that you first saw come through Indie Prize?
Wow, thinking about names. Yeah, can you name them?
So
the Sandbox Evolution. That game, that was at Indie Prize.
I'm trying to think of the name of it. The VR game where you're sword fighting through different environments. Not Nier Automatica. It's a different one. God, what was it?
I'm so bad at names. Sorry.
And another one is Cat's Quest. Cat's Quest on mobile was one that there was a lot of success with that one. And, we first saw it or at least I first saw it anyway, on Indie Prize. Now it's going to drive me nuts because I got to remember what that VR game is. I'll look at it, but there have been. I'm cheating right now and flipping through the website. Shadow Tactics. Tactics came through Indie Prize. It's going to drive me nuts. I'll have to find it later. But there are and I've recognized several of them that have come through, and it really is one of those great things in the industry that a lot of people don't think about, and they don't understand the benefit of it. Because you can go on and you can get access and network with so many, other great developers, the speakers that are going to be at the show, get a chance to learn from not only your peers, but people that have been around for a while. If you want a publisher, there's plenty of them walking around, and all you have to do is to get started on it anyway, is actually submit your game. And so, it's a wonderful thing that you all do, and I can't, for the developers out there, I can't recommend it enough. Even if you get through the part and you're like, okay, we're not gonna be able to make it to the show, it's something that I personally highly recommend and love working with as well. So run out and
yeah, just like except the showcase, except just play testing your game and get new contacts. You can actually educate yourself, because like most of the conferences, they have a showcase. They also have lectures, panels, fireside chats, different pitches where you can participate and meet people who already get success, and now they just can share their stories. Or those people have a lot of connections. And if you just talk to the speakers after they finish their lectures, you listen to the lecture, you didn't listen to the lecture, you just saw the name you want to connect, you can just come to the speaker, and they are speakers, they are open to talk, they're always happy to share. You can always use that chance to talk to the people who already get success and who know people in this industry that can connect you with them.
Those of us that sign up to be speakers at these shows, and we've been around, we do it because we want to share the knowledge that we have. We're not just there to pitch a product or to tell you how wonderful and smart we are, because I'm not either of those, but I still do speaking engagements. We're there because we want to teach stuff, and that's the reason that I go to Yuliya like nearly in tears after the show and goes, nobody signed up for the these opportunities, because we do want to help, and so you can go and you can talk to these folks, you can learn a lot, you get real feedback from your game. And this is something we've talked about a lot, Andy, is there's a difference between having your friend play your game or your family play your game and give you feedback, and having complete strangers play your game and give you feedback, especially if those strangers are developers.
I actually would add that, first of all, you really need to know why you're going to the conference, or at least like, what do you want with the game you created? Like, what do you need? Because, sometimes you really need a publisher, sometimes you just need finances, sometimes you need an artist, or I don't know, sound designer, or you just don't understand why why people do not play the game, so you need playtest. So just understand what you need. And when you go to the conference, it's, conference, it is a lot of fun, but it's not fun. It's not just fun. It's work. When you do something, you spend, you spend hours, to prepare for different parts of the work. So just accept that conference is also work. You need to work on it to succeed there, right? So just prepare beforehand, like make a plan what you want to do. Like when I went to the conferences, when I worked in the development studio, I had like 2 weeks that I just devoted to, explore who come into the conference. There are a lot of companies that I didn't know exist, or I look at the names and I didn't know who they are, and they were really, famous and useful. So I just go through Google. I expanded the whole list of participants, and then I make a list of who I want to meet. So you need to understand where you're going there too, so the conference can be productive for you. And then, when you prepare and you know who you want to meet, you also need to prepare yourself to sell yourself. So if you just come and say, I'm a cool guy, this is my game, and start showing your game when the loading screen is taking 40 seconds to load, and then the first level is broken, that's why you go to 27th level, that is unreachable for people who first see your game. It's a kind of a waste of time, right? No, I'm right?
No, you're right.
So just,
absolutely dead right. So yes, keep going.
So when we ask people to submit videos for your game, promo videos or gameplay videos, and for our judges, and they submit a video of gameplay that the first 3 minutes they're trying to figure out how to actually make this game work, I don't know, it just crying, you just look at that game and you cry. Because these people try to sell the game. So that's not the way you sell the game. And you need to understand that. It's not because I'm a bad person and I just like to say bad things about indies. I really want more indies to succeed in that. And those are the mistakes that I see every single day. And I see a lot of developers, I play the game, I say, you know what, that might be really useful. I know a guy from Nintendo, and he may be interested in that. He can help you. If you're going to Switch, just give me a business card. And he said, I don't have business cards. Give me a flyer. I don't have a flyer. You can give me your business cards. I say, sure, I can. And no one gets in touch with me, no one. And it's so sad. So just if you go to the conference, just 1 week before that, order, 500 of business cards and just give it to everyone.
They're not expensive.
No, they're not expensive at all.
And I'm going to go on like my old man rant here. A lot of it is from, the millennials that we know from Facebook are ruining everything. The younger developers look and they go, business cards are a waste of time. I don't know why I have to have business cards. They're not a waste of time, and Andy and I have talked about this, repeatedly on the show. Go to, where did I get mine?
Got print.
What Vista Print? I get mine on Vista Print. Yeah, you get like 500 of them for, $20 or something like that. And you have to flip through, a whole shit ton of stuff they're trying to upsell you on. But all you need is a business card, or, go down to, Kinko's or Office Max or whatever, and print up a little flyer. You need to have something to give. Don't give them a packet, for God's sakes. That ends up in the trash can at the hotel. When
Awesome business cards.
Business cards are perfect.
Perfect business cards. I think they're good because you kind of recognize the person. Sometimes sometimes people have flyers, developers have flyers, and they put this info@mycompanyname.com, and that email goes somewhere to spam and people cannot actually connect with them. But if you have personal email, it always works better. And at pitch, like the first pitch that we had, we didn't think that we need to provide some kind of instructions for developers, because we thought it's obvious. Everyone knows the word pitch, right? You just go and pitch a game. It's really fast. You exchange the context, you give the info, and during this 1-2 minutes, you're trying to make your companion to remember what you were talking about and who you are, right? And that wasn't obvious. And after the pitch in London, Martin actually suggested to make, a list of recommendations that you need to have business cards with you for pitch, or flyers that actually put your company name and something that can remind me about the game. Because I play thousands of games or few hundred of games during these 3 days. I do not remember that. Even if I like something, I like something like, you remember that awesome game? It was so awesome. I don't remember. And if you see on the flyer, the art or like the name or something special about the game, you can immediately recognize it and you get in touch with that developer. So this is also a kind of thing that everyone should remember. If you go to the conference, if you go anywhere, when you meet people, do something, give them something that they can touch, see, and recognize you, and get back to you.
That's why I put my picture on my business cards, because people won't forget that. Can you see that on the screen? Yeah.
And so we've actually got as well, I don't think I've shared this with you, Yuliya, because I think it's like, you go to you see these pictures and then you realize that, okay, wait, people really don't know some of this stuff, and that's why we do this show as well. If you go to that link, there's we put together just a simple infographic, when you're building a pitch deck, a little spreadsheet, not spreadsheet, what are those things called? PowerPoint, whatever, presentation, 10 slides. Here's the 10 slides that you need. And you go through and you put it in there. And if you've got that basic information, you've got what you need at least to start a conversation, but there's a lot of things that, we assume that people know, but they don't know, because we've just been doing this for a very long time and we're used to it. But, having business cards, understanding, the pitch process, the most common feedback that, I give on Unio and some of these sites that showcase a lot of indie games is understanding what your unique selling point is. Saying that you have a narrative game, that's not a unique selling point, that's a feature. and understanding that part. And so that's what you need to be able to, to convey to people, whether it's a player or, a streamer or media or a publisher, whatever. You need to be able to, understand what these things are and go from there.
But also, like, it's really interesting story, like about, understanding and selling. So I got a developer who said that I have an awesome game and I don't understand what kind of judges do you have if my game is not selected. I say, sorry, we have a lot of submissions. It's a big, but seriously, I don't know, maybe his game is that awesome. And he was like, yes, but they didn't even reach level 57. Because that is the level where all the features and cool parts starts. I say, okay, maybe that's how it should be. You need to build the difficulty, like, level by level, more involvement, more new features. But you also, when you submit a game, when you pitch a game to judges, to press, to YouTubers, influencers, I don't know, to anyone, if you want to sell your game, you should not expect that people will spend hours understanding that what is unique about your game, why it is cool, and why it is something financially viable.
5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, we actually came up to conclusions with all the publishers we had that it's actually 30 seconds, 1 minute when you actually get attention from someone or you do not get an attention from someone. And after that, you have extra 2 minutes. So 3 minutes, this is your time when you need to sell yourself, and the person will understand whether he wants to continue communication with you or it's kind of not my cup of tea, So just be prepared to, from the first, minute of communication, to sell your game. I remember when I was in development company, I've got featuring from Google Play for the game that was, I don't know if it was just a game, but I was at the lecture of Google Play speaker, and he asked something blah blah about retention. I say, we have 62% retention on the second day. He said, what? I said, yes. And he said, I want to feature a game. I said, I just stuck to that speaker and I didn't let him go before he gave me his personal email, link Facebook, and then we got a featuring, because you need to understand what the people are interested in and you need to get their attention from the very first seconds. Seriously, the game wasn't that special. It was just, nice made game. That's all. But if you understand how to sell it, that actually works. And if you think that you have 5 minutes and person will just stand and listen to you, it doesn't mean that that's the way how you sell your game. You just need to understand what people are looking for, and you just sell it immediately during the first minute. And this is about anything. The same comes with emails. If you reach someone by email, I actually received, from time to time, I receive emails without email subject.
I don't even know how that happens.
No, I don't. The first thing I do, I put who to send it to, and then I put email subject. And yeah, so how does it work in another order? And that's when you open your inbox, you just see and you understand what to read. And then, when I have an email that explains me how awesome the game is, how we work, how we need funding, and it takes me 5 minutes to read before I actually hear the question, I cannot skip. I'm not a native speaker. I'm afraid that if I will read like this, I will just miss something important. So I need to read everything. And then I'm so angry because all that information, I didn't need it to reply that question, So just I think in our time, in 2018, maybe before, it was useful to share a lot of information, to say everything you want to say about your game. But right now, we read Twitter, we read Facebook posts that have 3-6 lines. We do not read more, seriously. And just try to really catch the attention from the very first lines, from the very first seconds.
When I'm writing an email, I try to stick to the 3-sentence rule. I mean, sometimes you go over that, but if you can't, you got to break down whatever it is, the important things you want to say within 3 sentences. Not only does it save you time writing a bunch of emails, but You know, it saves people the pain of, like you just said, having to read through a book. Have to read through a book, and then it's all you needed was like the last 2 sentences.
And you know, I'm with Yuliya. I agree. It's not even a 2 to 3 minute. You know, when I'm looking at games that I'm either, you know, judging for something, or games that come through, you know, our system for evaluation, if I'm not focused on this after, you know, a minute, it's like I'm not going to spend another half an hour trying to get into your game. You know, I need to see from the get-go why this is interesting. And there's tons of different, I don't want to get into a debate on like how you do this as a game designer, because there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But, you know, whether it's, like you said, like the emails or, you know, the gameplay itself or whatever it is, you've got to be able to, you know, grab that person's attention like immediately. And so we always use the, you know, well, my game is like this, but that, you know, so, you know, I've got a game and it's like Diablo, but with farming. Diablo meets Stardew Valley, you know, it's like however you want to, you know, break that down, but that's what you have to do. You've got to relate it to something that people are familiar with in one way or another. And go.
And also, if you submit a game that is not released yet, that is not polished and finished, please submit a cheat build. So people don't need to create an account, register with the email, receive a confirmation, confirm a confirmation, and then get to the game. An extra 10 minutes that most of people who receive thousands of emails of this kind just won't go through, seriously. And if you submit a build, as I said, you should, like, when you submit a game, for a contest, for judges, for press, for investors, for publishers, do not go through the first level, through the whole house, like, you know, my point is, try to make a cheat build where you show in this build, maybe it's not a real game how it goes, but you try to show everything you want, like during the first few minutes. Because if person is not interested in your game during the first, like, I don't know, 2-3 levels, they probably won't go to level 7 or 17 or 57 when your game is, you know, fully opened with all the features and cool stuff. So just try to submit cheat builds and videos. Make nice videos. Even if you don't have tools and you don't know how to make a really cool promo video, make a nice gameplay video. Everyone knows how to cut, you know, the loading screen for 40 seconds, or how to cut, you know, really boring line when it goes just the same. Just, you know, make like a gameplay video, but interesting gameplay video that is interesting from the first 30 seconds, not 40 seconds of some bullshit and of bad gameplay or some like not interesting introduction. And make it from the beginning, not after a minute or two. This is really important because most of people, it's like, I don't know, it's psychology. They not only read, they look, make nice screenshots, make nice art, make nice videos. That is the easiest way to understand what you present. Yes, why are you laughing, Jay?
Because we got you to cuss and you said you weren't going to cuss.
Bum, bum, bum.
I told you can't work in this industry without, you know, developing the language of a sailor. You know, it's just part of this
you know,
industry.
Like, I was in the prize for more than 3 years, and I really love what I'm doing. You know, I think that's the way how you can actually enjoy your life and your work. And I really like the people I meet. And sometimes I just don't understand why they do not use all the opportunities that are provided. And then they complain that they didn't get what they wanted, just because they didn't do what they need to do, you know. And it's really, I don't know, it hurts. It really hurts because sometimes you see really talented developers that could make money on the games, and they just wasted the chance that was given to them.
I mean, without
and like for me, I don't know, Jay, is it obvious that when you look at the promo or gameplay video that is presented to you, that you are not waiting for 40 seconds for the load screen?
Yeah. I mean, another thing that always, you know, it gets me is if your game isn't ready for launch, you know, and you're submitting it, or even if you're showing it to somebody at a conference, give me an idea of where you are in the development, because it's going to affect my feedback. If you want me to play something and you're like, look, it's an early alpha build, I'm not going to berate your art, choices or a lot of nuance in there. Give us an idea of where you are in the development of the game, because it's like, yeah, if you've got an early stage game, I'm going to forgive you if it takes 40 seconds or a minute to load or whatever it is. It doesn't pop up immediately. That's fine. But, when you don't have a set of context in there for, what should I be looking for? And that goes back to what you said, understand when you're going to the show, why you're going to the show, figure out what your goals are, because it's just going to help all the way around. It helps us, it helps, the developers. It's beneficial to everyone.
But let's talk, like, except conferences, except the shows where you go, what are the other ways for you to actually reach people that you need in the industry? Emails, social media? I cannot hear anyone. Oh yeah, now I can. So it's like emails, like actually it's something that you type, right, to people, messages, emails, and then you go to the conferences. What are the other ways to actually reach to those people?
So it's interesting that you asked that, because I got an email from a developer friend of mine that has, and I haven't even asked him if I can use this, but I'm not naming him. And so I'm going to just read this, because he's looking at it from a developer point of view in the same way that, publishers would look at it from their point of view. But we've been doing work with a lot of technology companies lately. And one of the things that I try to always say to them is, it's not sending out a bunch of emails isn't going to help your case. You have to get, you have to develop some sort of relationship. And lately we've been doing a lot more. We get a lot more engagement out of Discord than we do through emails and Twitter and things like that. It's easy to get your message out those ways, but you're going to get a better reaction. You're going to get better engagement if you can actually have a conversation with them, and so when we're going out and trying to find people, we look at emails and we do social media stuff as well. LinkedIn is good from a business perspective. But, you have to be able to engage, and you can't send, like we said, those big old long emails. They don't work. People need to be able to quickly get to the point of what they're doing. All right, so let me read this real quick. It says, we developers are receiving too many offers from various companies. Everyone wants to sell their services to developers and publishers. User acquisition, art, music, sound, animation services, storyboard artists, outsourcing companies, ad and PR agencies, analytics, and various SDK developers. Look at that list of people that, developers and publishers are getting bombarded with every day in emails. He says we're bombarded with emails and phone calls. At the end of the day, you just kind of get immune to it, and you don't want anything else but a nice, quiet environment to focus on your job. That is so true. And so, lately, over the last 6 months to a year, we use Discord for a lot of our stuff, because we can actually go out and, talk to folks in a quasi real-time, environment versus scheduling a phone call or, here's an email exchange that goes back and forth, because people get busy and they end up in meetings and all that sort of stuff. So it's a lot of it has actually been Discord for us lately.
Yeah, but I mean, it's other messaging, calls through the messengers, or emails, or it's real communication. But I mean, other than conferences, where can you get this real communication? You don't go to the market and just meet a bunch of publishers you want to talk to. And if you want to get some medical treatment, you go to the hospital. If you want, but that's true. If you want to buy something, you go to the market. If you want to buy fruits, you go to the fruit markets. And if you want to get some connections from the industry, you go to the conferences. I don't know, you can Google, you can find what you want to, but again, we receive thousands of emails every day. All of us, seriously, it's like You just every time wake up and you understand that this is like a bunch of inbox that will take you like half a day to go through. And it's like we all love our jobs and we do read those emails. But when you actually get someone for, I don't know, 3 minutes, standing drinking coffee at the conference, and you get like, I never sit at the conference. The time when I can open my laptop at the conference, it's kind of, meditation. Even if I need to do, even if I need to solve a problem, because if I just stand in the middle of the hall or at some of the meeting tables, there is always people who passing by, who communicate, who talk, who say hi, old connections, new connections. There are always a lot of connections at the conference. You just shouldn't sit in the corner like this with your phone. If you just stand up, you're open, you do not look at your screen, people will talk to you, and this is really, really good place to get this communication. If you don't need communication, if you can just create the game, then submit a game to the market, and then just do nothing with that, or you don't need anyone to do anything with your game, you can do everything yourself, then there is no reason for you to go to the conference except fun, But if there is at least something that is missing in this process, and there is a person or group of people or companies that you need help from, you have to go to the market with game developer experts, right? And this market are conferences, exhibitions, different communities are organizing meetings, right? There is no other way to get that. It's like hospital doctors,
You're absolutely right, and that's the difference between I'm sitting here and explaining stuff exactly the way I see it, and it's like I don't necessarily have to have I know a lot of people in the industry, so you're right. It is easier for me sometimes to send notes on LinkedIn or email or Discord or whatever. But yes, the best place to actually engage someone is to go out and to be at these things. And so my recommendation when I'm at, all right, so let's use the Seattle, let's use Benaroya Hall as as an example. And so if you've ever been to Casual Connect in Seattle, it's usually in Benaroya Hall. I think years ago it might have been somewhere else, but lately it's been in Benaroya Hall, which is a big concert hall. And so there's, a foyer, and, there's stairs that go into the main room, and then there's like hallways that go into these smaller rooms where they have, a lot of the lectures sometimes. I go in, I stand on get my coffee and stand on the second step right there going into the main, auditorium, because that auditorium is just used for lectures. But, when I'm standing there in the middle, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm drinking my coffee and looking around because, one, I'm a little bit higher up than everybody else is, except for the people that are on steps behind me. And so, people can see me and I can see, everyone that's around. And you don't have to go out and just hunting people and pull on their shirt and go, hey, talk to me. If you just stand there and look like you might be willing to have a conversation with someone, you can meet a lot of people. You can see a lot of people. And it's it's a wonderful networking idea, but it's also awesome for people watching, because my favorite thing to do is watch the crowd on, let's say the show's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I get there Tuesday morning and that area is just packed with people, and they're, eating a croissant and drinking their coffee, and they're all in there. And there's so many people. And I go the next day and I'm there, at 9:30 or 9, whenever it opens, and there's a few less people, because they might have been out, partying a little bit the night before. And then on the third day, you can play a soccer match at 9 in the morning in there, because everybody has been out, too late, or 2 or 3 days of the show, and then they get there 10 or 11 for the every time everything's starting. But sit down at stand near a bar or where the food is. Don't get in people's way, but find your spot. Find a high traffic area. And yeah, even if you just stand and look, and look around, you're gonna not only run into people that you haven't seen in a while if you've been in the industry, but you're gonna meet new people.
That's really good idea because, like, for example, when I visit other conference and I try to, get in contact through the pitch and match system with different companies, sometimes I was rejected, like they didn't have any free time or they just didn't want to meet. And then I was just standing, in this lunch area and we were talking and it's just, random people joined the table and changed the table. And then I actually met those people, and it's not like happened once, it happened all the times. You always get useful people. There are no useless people at the conference. Like from 100, like 80 of them are useful for you. That's a rule, because either they're useful for you or they know the people who are useful for you.
Yep.
And it's really good. I really like the networking and the conferences. But I'm a communicative person, a lot of people think that I talk too much, but like maybe that's why it's easy for me to communicate. But a lot of developers, they're not that open, for communication. Get a marketing manager, or just, I don't know, force yourself and just talk to everyone.
There was a woman, and I might have told this story before, so if you're a frequent viewer, you probably heard this. We were in Berlin, and I think it was with Guns of Icarus, or it was like one of the I think it might have been it, steampunk like battles on Zeppelins and things like that. And the young woman there, I think she might have been just an intern or a like junior communication person. She wasn't like full time with the studio, but she was without a doubt one of the best, most engaging, I would say, presenter. I'm not sure what the actual word would be, but she was standing there and they were in the Indie Prize area, and she called me over actually, because I'm not a big steampunk fan. From a player point of view, I was like, whatever, I'll play it. But she was absolutely so engaging and went beyond. I mean, even when she was walking me through how to play the game and I completely screwed it up at one point, it wasn't like, no. She's like, okay, you did this and you should, it would be better if you did blah, blah, blah.
Did she have red hair, Jay?
I don't remember. I have no idea. Maybe. But let's look at our industry. She may have had red hair at that show and then green hair at the next one and purple hair at the third. So I have no idea. But, I asked her, because I said, and I stopped her later in the show. I was like, look, I've been doing this 20 years, and you are, without a doubt, one of the best pitch people I have seen. She was a fan of the show. I mean, a fan of the game, and that's how she got involved. And so, like you said, sometimes you need a communications director, but that communication director doesn't always have to be somebody with a major in communications and a resume that's like 3 pages long. Sometimes the people in your office and the people working on the project and the fans that are working on the project that are, involved in the project can actually be really, really good resources to tap into for some of these shows.
Actually, this is not the first time I hear that developers, like at Indie Prize, they involve their fans of their game to the showcase, who just help them showcase the game because they're fans, they know the games, they know all the tricks in the game, and they're really, really, enthusiastic about the game. So they show the game with a passion. They can't talk about business, but that's why they have a developer next to them who can just, continue talking about business. But presenting the game, it's one of the options if you don't have these communication skills. It works really well.
We had Megacrit on the Slay the Spire guys, and a lot of their 30-some localizations are actually run by fans. The Tresay brothers were on, their Discord is actually moderated. My brain ain't working today. By, their hardcore fans. And, it is when you have passionate fans like that, you're right. They know the game as well, if not better in some situations than, some of the team members do, and they can relate to the players that are coming in because that's their world as well. This woman was like a fan and a cosplayer, and without a doubt, one of the best pitch people I have ever seen at a show. But she wasn't working for them. Hopefully she is now. I hope they gave her a job. But it's just one of those. You do need that person who's willing to just sit there and talk about how awesome your game is.
Yeah, that's true. And also about the conferences. There are so many conference events. And I think if you have time, you should go to every available one. But if you don't have a time or money or I don't know, desire to go to all of them, just there are so many tools that shows a calendar of the conferences. Like Casual Connect is not the only conference you can go to. There are a lot of events in your region that you can go, right? And like we have 154 partners in different parts of the world that partner with us at event conferences, meetups, and nominate the best game to Indie Prize. So I know that if you think that you live in a very distant region that is not connected with games industry, they have a conference there or they have a meetup there. There are always a group of developers who are enthusiastic about that, and it's always a good idea to go there, just to meet the community that lives next to you, that create games with you. They can give you advices, they can connect. People are not greedy, they share contacts. I never saw like a person who say like, no, I'm not gonna give you that contact, this is my publisher. Like never, seriously, people say like, who will share? Everyone shares. I saw a lot of developers who actually say, you know what, these people, I work with them, just go and work with them, they will help you to earn money as well. And they are all so open, they are all like ready to help, because this industry is really, really close and really, really small. As you said, if you're bad to someone, that's, you don't know where you will be in a year, right? You don't know where you will be in a month. What do you say about a year? So everyone is happy to share. Like the more we share, the better. So just ask, go to different communities, go to local events, I don't know, just communicate. And I actually think that it's really good idea to also build a community in social medias. Like community is really important around your game. And it's also something that you should think about before releasing your game. Yeah. I don't know how I came to community. I just maybe heard that.
Like, how did I end up, doing business when I have a degree in English literature? We're all doing this because we love this industry. All right.
Yeah.
We're over on time anyway, but we're still having fun here. Do you have a list of all the different partner conferences for Indie Prize?
Yeah, if you go to indieprize.org, our site, we always publish a list of nomination partners of our events and conference that partner with us for this certain show. So during the year, it will be around 100 different events. So we have 4 sites for each of our show. We have different sites like Indie Prize Asia 2018, Indie Prize Serbia 2018, USA 2018, and China 2018. So if you go to all those sites, we have nomination partners or Game Nation community. And you will still see logos of all the events that nominated the game to this certain show.
All right, so when is the next show?
The next show is on November 12th, 14th in Shenzhen, China. And we have at least 16 partners that nominated the games to this certain show. 16 different conferences, events that had a showcase with a selection process in different local communities and send the best game to Indie Prize.
All right, so that one's probably already too late to submit to. What's the next?
Oh, yes, the next one. So for the next year, we didn't announce dates yet, but it will be London in May, the last week of May as we had in 2018. Then in summer, late summer, we will have USA edition, Casual Connect USA 2019 in LA.
Disneyland.
And then we are... I cannot say that. It's not announced yet.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. And then we will have an Eastern Europe show. It will be in Turkey, in Istanbul, in autumn.
Oh, dude, I've always wanted to go to Istanbul.
Oh, that's an amazing city. I was there like as a tourist, and I think I like the countries where the food is good. Like if the food is if the food is good and tasty, I like the country, because I was thinking like Istanbul, and I was like,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's funny.
Like, I didn't get to this size by eating right. That's the
by eating
have
good.
to be fed.
Being a good eater.
All right, so Yuliya, thank you so much for being on. If anyone's got any questions, now's the time to throw it out there. And then, of course, we're going to be back next week. Well, next week you are gone, so I'm on my own.
No.
Yes. So we will, I don't think we have anybody lined up yet, but that's partially because we're trying to figure out who's going to be around. We're going to have a show on one day next week. We'll be there.
The Halloween.
We're going to do the horror stories. So, Yuliya, if you want to come back for that, you are absolutely welcome. We're basically just going to, sit down and say, okay, here's some really horrible that happened to me one time without naming names. And we're going to tell, all the, the horror stories for Halloween.
I need to summarize. I really want everyone to hear this message that if you go to the shows, can I?
Go for it.
If you go to the show, first of all, you need to know why you're going there. Seriously, make a list of what you want to achieve with this conference and just, prepare for the conference. It's not a party. It's fun, but it's not a party. You need to work on that. Then seriously, take business card or flyers. You need to connect with people and you need to make people to remember you. Then prepare a pitch. If you want to sell a game, prepare a pitch, really short pitch. Try to sell your game during 50 seconds. I don't know, to your mom, to your partner, to anyone. Just try to do that. Just practice that. And then use the tools. I really ask you to use the tools that the organizers provide to you. Use pitch meeting system, use all the, just read through the activities the conference has. Sometimes it's pitches, streaming, I don't know, round tables, maybe some other activities, maybe workshop that involves developers, and that can be useful for you. Go through the list of guests who attend the conference. It's really important. And, just be in a good mood. And I understand that everyone is busy, have some stuff. When you go to the conference, you need to, leave your office, your work, your team, and you may want to chat with them. But if you're at the conference and you already spent your resources and time there, just be at the conference and be available for communication. Even if you're not the person who can just say, hey, hi, what are you doing? There are definitely people, like there are at least few hundreds of people who will do that if you will just stand without looking at your screen, just open for communication and looking. But that's true. That's how it works. So yeah, just, be open and understand that you are at the conference to get connections. And if you don't need connections, then probably you don't need to go to the conference. But otherwise, this is the best way to get those contacts from, except, just Googling.
And so you brought up another good point there. It doesn't do you any good if you and your team go to the show, but you spend the whole time talking to each other, because then you're in a little group and you've got your back to everybody and you're not being open and engaging. So just because you've got 3 or 4 people there, unless, everyone is out there and they have their show plan in mind, you can't just sit around and talk to each other, because it's going to discourage other people from coming up and asking about your game or talking about, what they're seeing in the industry or whatever. You've got plenty of time to talk to your, teammates in the evenings after the show, or, back when you're in the office. Use the show to, get out there and meet new people.
Oh, you guys, and do not ignore parties. When I heard party at first, I don't know, in my life, it's like loud music, a lot of dancing, fun, and alcohol. But the parties at the conference not always like that. When we say party, we mean an official, casual atmosphere with people drink, eat, maybe some people dance, but this is usually not loud music, when you can communicate, in a relaxed atmosphere. And this can bring you even more contacts, even more useful contacts than the meetings that you schedule during the day. Everyone is ready to talk to you because they're at the conference, they're in the business trips, and they are ready for communication. So just do not ignore those networking events. Even if you think that you will feel uncomfortable, there will be people who will talk you to death and make you comfortable with that. Seriously. That's true. Why are you laughing again?
I would argue in many situations, not every situation, but in many situations, the parties and the events after the show are even better for networking than the meetings that you set up, because it is a much more casual atmosphere and you get a lot of secondary introductions. If I'm in a meeting with you and we've got half an hour, first off, either you or I are probably 5 minutes late getting there.
Uh-huh.
And then you or I both are going to have to leave 5 minutes early to get to our next meeting, unless it's, you know, a small venue somewhere. But so you got 20 minutes anyway. I'm focused on you. When I'm at a networking event, it's much easier for, you know, me to be standing there and go, oh, hey, Indy, you need to meet Yuliya because she does this. And Yuliya, this is what Indy does. And so you not only are meeting the people, you know, that you were talking to right then, but as you know, tell folks what you do and why you're there, you know, you can get a lot of secondary introductions because somebody may be a good friend of that person and they come up and then you get introduced. And so I'm not going to say skip the conference, go to the networking events, but, you know, in many situations, those parties are as important, if not more important, than the actual, you know, being there on the floor all the time.
But just to make it clear, you have to schedule meetings during the event.
You do have
Seriously,
to schedule meetings.
you have to.
Again, we're not telling you not to go and not to schedule meetings because you need to
Because, like, you know, meetings, it's really good tool, but you never know who you will meet, and there is no guarantee that you will meet the person you need. And the meeting system gives you an access to everyone who is at the conference, and you can choose who to meet with, right? And yeah, so always schedule meetings.
Yes.
Always.
That's my message.
Use the tools that you're giving. I've even gone through after a show and reached out to people that I maybe didn't get a chance to meet with, or you know, maybe they filled out their stuff last minute and I didn't see them. But you know, you can even use those meeting systems as a follow-up or a post-show. Hey, look, I'm sorry I missed you at the show, but this is what we do, type thing.
And also the conference, this is a really good way to get new ideas, you know? Sometimes you just go with the product, you just know what you want to do, you sold your product at the conference, you get the deal, like, you know, during the first day because you got the meeting that you wanted to and everything went well. But after that, you just listen to the lectures, you just talk to people who also work in the same industry, you play the games, and then you come back to the office and you're like, ding, we are going to do this. And we are going to make money from that, right? That's where you get the inspiration. It's like the conference is the people you talk to with their real experience, you know, with the stuff they really do. Yeah.
Awesome. We need to have you back because you're actually, you know, validating a lot of the stuff that we preach on this show, and it's nice that people point out that we're not completely crazy. So anyway, Indy, I mean, anything else you want to cover today, Yuliya?
I'm good.
I'm good. Indy?
Read emails. Read emails.
Read the emails and don't be a dick. We need to add like one rule from every show to a list of things.
Today is read your emails.
Read your emails.
Yeah.
You can't.
All right.
You can Google what you don't know, but you can't Google what you don't know. You don't know.
So are we going to rate somebody? Who do we want to rate?
Let's have a look here. Since they messed up. Since they changed all of the. Now there's no like game development category. It's just science and technology.
Well, you can click the game development tab.
Yeah.
I mean, tab.
Let's try that. Let's see. Someone's writing a Twitch bot. The Korea game dev is live. Should we raid the Korea game dev?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll raid that one.
All right. So let me. And ! Raid. Oh, I think you might have to click the. I think you might have to do it. Oh, no, we can do it. Excellent, I can do it. All right, so get in there and everybody just click the raid button. Say Indie Game Business Raid. You can also use our awesome emote if you're a sub. So we'll say Indie Game Business Raid. Bam.
And Yuliya, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, Yuliya.
And thanks for inviting me. It was really cool to talk to you again. For both of you, I actually didn't see you last Casual Connect USA.
Yeah, the last one I was at was Disneyland.
Yeah, USA. So people, if you ever have any questions, I'm always open for communication.
And
Seriously,
she's
I'm
on our
reachable.
Discord server too.
Yes, I'm reachable in all the messengers and all the social medias
And
at
all the
all the
things.
events.
All the things.
Yeah, if you have questions, just ask, and we will be happy to see more talented developers and other industry people at Casual Connect. Next edition in China, November 12th, 14, and then for the next year, we will announce our event soon.
Excellent.
Yay!
All right, and
Thank
our
you.
next show's coming up. Check the schedule. All right, get ready for the raid. Here we go.